The snow was falling so hard that Tyler Thompson could barely see 3 feet in front of him. But he still noticed the woman struggling with the tower of wrapped presents, threatening to spill from her arms as she approached the department store entrance, where he stood with his daughter. "Hold on, Emma," Tyler said to his 6-year-old, who was busy pressing her nose against the glass window, admiring the Christmas display inside. He stepped forward and grabbed the heavy door, pulling it wide open as the woman in the elegant gray wool coat reached them. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice warm despite the bitter cold. Snowflakes clung to her dark hair, and her cheeks were flushed pink. She adjusted her grip on the presents, and Tyler caught a glimpse of expensive wrapping paper and silk ribbons. "No problem," Tyler replied, giving her a quick nod. He held the door until she was safely inside, then followed with Emma, who was tugging on his worn jacket. "Daddy, can we look at the toys now?" Emma asked, her brown eyes wide with hope. "We are just here to get your grandma's present, remember? We talked about this," Tyler said gently, crouching down to her level. He brushed some snow from her pink knit hat, the one his mother had made for her last year. The woman with the presents had stopped a few feet away, setting her packages down on a bench near the entrance. She was watching them with an expression Tyler could not quite read. When their eyes met, she smiled. "I am sorry, I do not mean to stare," she said, walking back toward them. "It is just refreshing to see such a patient father. You do not see that every day." Tyler stood up, feeling suddenly self-conscious about his faded jeans and the jacket he had worn for 5 winters now. "Just trying to do my best," he said. "I am Alexandra Brooks," the woman said, extending her hand. Up close, Tyler could see she was probably around his age, maybe 30 or 31. Her green eyes were kind, and there was something genuine about her smile. "Tyler Thompson. This is my daughter, Emma." Emma, who was usually shy around strangers, gave a little wave. "Hi, your coat is really pretty." Alexandra laughed, a real laugh that made her eyes crinkle at the corners. "Thank you, sweetie. Your hat is beautiful, too. Did someone special make it for you?" "My grandma," Emma said proudly. "She must love you very much." Alexandra glanced at the packages she had left on the bench. "I should probably get those to my car before I drop them all in a puddle. It was nice meeting you both." Tyler watched her gather the presents again, struggling with the same precarious balance. "Do you need help getting those to your car? That is a lot to carry." Alexandra paused, looking surprised. "I could not ask you to do that. I am sure you have shopping to do." "It is no trouble. We are not in a rush, right, Em?" Emma shook her head enthusiastically. She seemed to like Alexandra, which was unusual. His daughter had been cautious around new people since her mother left 2 years ago. "Well, if you are sure," Alexandra said, "that would actually be incredibly helpful. My car is in the parking garage across the street." Tyler took most of the packages from her arms, leaving her with just 2 smaller ones. They made their way back out into the snow, Emma holding his free hand and skipping beside him. "So, are you doing your Christmas shopping?" Alexandra asked as they crossed the street carefully, waiting for the light to change. "Just one more present to get. My mom. She is hard to shop for because she always says she does not need anything." "I know the type," Alexandra said with a knowing smile. "My mother was the same way. She passed away 3 years ago, but I still think about her every time I am trying to pick out gifts." "I am sorry for your loss," Tyler said sincerely. They reached the parking garage, and Alexandra led them to a sleek black Mercedes on the 2nd level. Tyler tried not to react, but he had never stood this close to a car that probably cost more than he made in 3 years. Alexandra opened the trunk, which was already half full of shopping bags from expensive stores. Tyler carefully placed the presents inside, making sure nothing would shift during the drive. "Thank you so much," Alexandra said. "You really did not have to do that. Most people would have just walked past." Tyler shrugged. "My mom raised me to help people when I can." "She raised you well." Alexandra reached into her purse. "Please, let me give you something for your trouble." "Absolutely not," Tyler said firmly, putting up his hand. I did not help you for money. I helped because it was the right thing to do. Alexandra looked at him for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. Would you at least let me buy you and Emma some hot chocolate? There is a good cafe right around the corner. I was going to stop there anyway to warm up before heading home. Tyler hesitated. He had a strict budget, and stopping for hot chocolate was not in it. But Emma was looking up at him with those hopeful eyes, and Alexandra seemed genuinely friendly, not like she was offering out of pity. Sure, he said finally. That would be nice. The cafe was warm and smelled like cinnamon and coffee. They found a table near the window, and Alexandra insisted on ordering for everyone. She came back with 2 hot chocolates topped with whipped cream and a large coffee for herself, along with a plate of cookies. Emma's eyes lit up at the sight of the cookies, and she looked at Tyler for permission. He nodded, and she carefully picked one shaped like a snowman. So, Tyler, Alexandra said, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup, what do you do for work? I am a mechanic at Henderson's auto shop downtown, been there for 8 years now. He took a sip of his hot chocolate, surprised by how good it was. What about you? I work in real estate development, Alexandra said. She said it casually, but Tyler sensed there was more to it than that. That sounds interesting. Are you working on anything exciting right now? Alexandra's face brightened. Actually, yes. We just broke ground on a new community center in the Riverside neighborhood. It is going to have a gym, a library, after-school programs for kids, that sort of thing. That is what all those presents are for, actually. Gifts for the children who are going to use the center. We are having a Christmas party for them next week. That is really nice, Tyler said, meaning it. Riverside could use something like that. A lot of good families in that area, but not many safe places for kids to go after school. You know the neighborhood? I grew up there. My mom still lives in the same house. Tyler smiled at the memory. I spent every afternoon at the old recreation center on 5th Street until it closed down when I was 12. That is exactly why we are building the new one, Alexandra said, leaning forward. Places like that make such a difference in kids' lives. I want to give back to the community, create opportunities, you know. They talked for over an hour, and Tyler found himself genuinely enjoying the conversation. Alexandra was easy to talk to, and she seemed interested in his life without being nosy. She asked about Emma, about his work, about his mother. In return, she told him about her work, about the foundation she ran that funded community projects, about how she had grown up in the city, but had spent several years working in New York before returning home. Emma, who had been quietly coloring on the paper placemat the cafe provided, eventually climbed into Tyler's lap and rested her head against his chest. She was getting tired. I should probably get her home, Tyler said reluctantly. She needs lunch and a nap. Of course, Alexandra said. She pulled out her phone. This might be forward of me, but could I give you my number? I would love to stay in touch. You seem like a genuinely good person, and those are rare. Tyler felt his heart rate pick up. Was she asking him out, or was this just a friendly gesture? He could not tell, but he found himself nodding and pulling out his own phone. They exchanged numbers, and then Tyler bundled Emma back into her coat and hat. As they were leaving, Alexandra called out, "Tyler, you never did get your mother's present," he laughed. "You were right. I will have to come back later this week. Good luck finding something, and text me, okay? I mean it." Outside, the snow had stopped, and the sidewalks were covered in a pristine white blanket. Emma held his hand as they walked to the bus stop. "I like her," Emma said sleepily, Alexandra. "She seems nice, does not she? She has a pretty smile, like Grandma." Tyler thought about that as they waited for the bus. His mother did have a warm smile, the kind that made you feel safe and welcome. Alexandra's smile was similar, open and genuine. He wondered if he would actually text her, or if this was just one of those random encounters that felt meaningful in the moment, but faded away. 3 days passed before Tyler worked up the courage to send a message. He had thought about it constantly, typing out texts and deleting them, worried about seeming too eager or not interested enough. Finally, he just wrote something simple. "Hi, Alexandra. This is Tyler from the department store. I hope you are doing well. Thanks again for the hot chocolate the other day." Her response came within minutes. "Tyler, I was hoping I would hear from you. I am doing great, just busy with preparations for the Christmas party. How is Emma?" They started texting regularly. At first, it was just friendly conversation, but Tyler found himself looking forward to her messages throughout the day. She would send him photos of her work on the community center, and he would tell her funny stories about Emma or interesting problems he had solved at the shop. 2 weeks after their first meeting, Alexandra texted him with an unexpected question. "I know this is last minute, but would you and Emma like to come to the Christmas party at the community center tomorrow? I would love for you both to be there." Emma would love it. Lots of games and activities for kids her age. Tyler stared at his phone. He wanted to say yes, but something held him back. He was becoming increasingly aware of the difference in their lifestyles. Alexandra lived in a world of expensive cars and designer clothes and community centers with her name on the dedication plaques. He was a mechanic who took the bus everywhere and bought his clothes at discount stores. But Emma would love it. And if he was being honest with himself, he wanted to see Alexandra again. "We would love to come," he texted back. "What time should we be there?" The community center was impressive. Tyler had driven past the construction site before, but seeing it completed was something else entirely. The building was modern and welcoming, with large windows and colorful murals already painted on the exterior walls. Inside, it was even better. The gym was spacious and filled with kids running around, playing games and laughing. A huge Christmas tree stood in the corner, surrounded by presents. Alexandra spotted them right away and hurried over. She was wearing jeans and a soft red sweater, looking more relaxed than she had in the gray coat. "You came? I am so glad." "This place is amazing," Tyler said, looking around. "You must be so proud." "I am," Alexandra admitted. "It has been 2 years of work, but it is worth it to see these kids enjoying it." She crouched down to Emma's level. "Hi, Emma. Would you like to go play some games? We have face painting, and there is a craft table where you can make ornaments." Emma looked up at Tyler, who nodded encouragingly. "Go ahead, sweetheart. I will be right here watching." As Emma ran off to join the other children, Alexandra stood close to Tyler. "I am really glad you came. I was worried I was being too pushy inviting you." "Not at all. This is great for Emma. She does not get to do stuff like this very often." Tyler immediately regretted saying that, feeling like he had revealed too much, but Alexandra just touched his arm gently. She is lucky to have a dad who cares so much about her. They spent the afternoon at the party. Tyler helped supervise some of the games, and Alexandra seemed to be everywhere at once, making sure every child got a present, organizing activities, and talking to parents. Tyler noticed how naturally she connected with everyone, regardless of their background. She treated the single mom working 2 jobs with the same respect and warmth as the well-dressed couple who had clearly donated money to the center. At one point, Tyler found himself talking to an older woman named Margaret, who turned out to be on the board of directors for Alexandra's foundation. "Alexandra is something special," Margaret said, watching as Alexandra helped a shy little boy open his present. She inherited her father's business empire when he passed away 5 years ago, and everyone expected her to just sit back and collect dividends. Instead, she has poured her heart and money into projects like this. She could be living on a beach somewhere, but she chooses to be here. Tyler felt his stomach drop. Business empire. He had known Alexandra was wealthy, but he had not realized the extent of it. He was a mechanic who lived paycheck to paycheck, and she was an actual millionaire, maybe more. What was he doing here? What had he been thinking, developing feelings for someone so far out of his league? As if sensing his thoughts, Alexandra appeared at his side. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yeah, fine, just taking it all in." He forced a smile. "Tyler, can we talk for a minute? Privately, they stepped into a quiet hallway away from the noise of the party. Alexandra looked nervous, which was strange because she had been so confident all afternoon. "I need to be honest with you about something," she said. "I think you might have figured out that I have more money than I initially let on. Margaret probably told you, right? She loves to talk about the foundation." "She mentioned it," Tyler admitted. "I should have been more upfront from the beginning," Alexandra continued. "But the truth is, when I meet new people, I never know if they are interested in me or my money. When I met you in the snow that day, you helped me without knowing anything about me. You would not even let me give you a tip. And then we talked at the cafe, and it was just easy and real. I have not had that in a long time." "Alexandra, please, let me finish," she said. "I like you, Tyler. I really like you. I like how you are with Emma, how you talk about your work, how you see the world. I like that you held a door open in a snowstorm for a stranger and then carried her packages without expecting anything in return. I do not want my money to change what is happening between us." Tyler's heart was pounding. "What is happening between us?" "I do not know exactly," Alexandra said softly, "but I would like to find out, if you are interested." He thought about all the reasons he should say no. The difference in their lifestyles, the potential complications, the worry that he could never be enough for someone like her. But then he thought about how he felt when he saw her name pop up on his phone, how Emma had smiled when she talked about Alexandra's pretty smile, how right it had felt sitting in that cafe talking for hours. "I am interested," he said, "but I need you to understand something too. I do not have much to offer. I work hard, and I take care of my daughter, but I cannot take you to fancy restaurants or buy you expensive gifts. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I take the bus because I cannot afford a car payment right now." If that is going to be a problem, Alexandra stepped closer and took his hand. "Tyler, do you know what I do most Friday nights? I sit in my big empty house and read reports. I eat takeout by myself and watch old movies. I have money, yes, but that does not mean I have a life. You have something I have been looking for. You have authenticity. You have priorities that matter. You have love for your daughter that is so obvious it makes my heart ache. That is what I want, not fancy restaurants. I do not want you to feel like you have to pretend to be something you are not either," Tyler said. "You have worked hard for what you have. You should not have to hide it." "So what do we do?" Alexandra asked. "We figure it out together," Tyler said. "One day at a time. And we are honest with each other about everything." Alexandra smiled, and Tyler realized it was the same warm smile Emma had noticed that first day. "I can do that." They were interrupted by Emma running down the hallway, her face painted like a butterfly. "Daddy, look, is not it cool?" "It is very cool, baby girl," Tyler said, scooping her up. "Did you see Santa? He is here." Emma bounced excitedly in his arms. "We better get you back in there then," Alexandra said. "We cannot miss Santa." The three of them returned to the party together, and Tyler noticed how natural it felt, how right. Emma grabbed both their hands, swinging between them as they walked. Over the next few weeks, Tyler and Alexandra saw each other as often as their schedules allowed. Alexandra made a point of doing things that fit Tyler's budget. They went to the free museum day at the art museum, took Emma ice skating at the public rink, and had picnics in the park when the weather cleared. Tyler, in turn, tried to be open to occasionally letting Alexandra treat them to something nicer, though it made him uncomfortable at first. One Saturday afternoon, about a month after the community center party, Tyler invited Alexandra to the auto shop. Emma was with his mother for the day, so it was just the two of them. "You want to show me where you work?" Alexandra asked, sounding pleased. "You showed me your project. I figured I would show you mine." The shop was quiet on Saturday afternoons. Most of the other mechanics had gone home, but Tyler had stayed to work on a classic Mustang that someone had brought in for restoration. "This is beautiful," Alexandra said, walking around the car. "What year?" 1967. The owner's dad used to have one just like it, and he wants to surprise him for his 70th birthday. Tyler opened the hood. "Engine is completely shot, so we are basically rebuilding from scratch. You know how to do all that." "It is what I love about this job," Tyler said, warming to the subject. "Every car is like a puzzle. You have to figure out what is wrong, find the right parts, put it all back together. And when you are done, you have not just fixed something, you have given someone back their freedom. A car is how people get to work, how they take their kids to school, how they visit family. It matters." Alexandra watched him as he talked, her expression soft. "You really love this." "I do," Tyler admitted. "It is not glamorous and I am not getting rich doing it, but it is mine. I am good at it. I can tell." Alexandra walked closer, and suddenly they were standing very close in the quiet garage. "Tyler, can I kiss you?" his breath caught. Yes, you can." When their lips met, it felt like everything in Tyler's world shifted slightly, rearranging itself into something new and right. Alexandra's hands came up to his face, and he wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, and then deeper as they both relaxed into it. When they finally pulled apart, Tyler was smiling. "I have wanted to do that for weeks." "Me too," Alexandra said, her cheeks flushed. "I was starting to think you never would." "I was nervous," Tyler admitted. "This is all new for me. I have not dated anyone since Emma's mom left." "We do not have to rush anything," Alexandra said. "We will take it at whatever pace feels right." They spent the rest of the afternoon at the shop. Tyler worked on the Mustang while Alexandra sat nearby, asking questions and handing him tools. It was comfortable, easy, the kind of companionship that Tyler had not realized he was missing. As winter turned to early spring, their relationship deepened. Alexandra became a regular presence in Tyler's life and Emma's. She would come over for dinner, bringing groceries and insisting on cooking. She taught Emma how to bake cookies, sat through countless viewings of the same princess movie, and never seemed to mind when their dates got interrupted by typical 6-year-old emergencies. Tyler's mother, Mary, met Alexandra on a Sunday afternoon when they all went to her house for lunch. Tyler had been nervous about the meeting, but he should not have worried. "I like her," Mary said when Alexandra and Emma were in the backyard looking at the early flowers. "She is good for you, good for Emma too." "She is," Tyler agreed. "You are worried about the money thing," Mary observed. It was not a question. "Am I that obvious?" "Only to someone who knows you as well as I do." Mary patted his hand. "Listen to me, Tyler. That girl out there does not care that you are not rich. If she did, she would not be here eating my pot roast in this little house. She cares about you. Stop looking for reasons why it will not work and start believing that maybe it will." Tyler knew his mother was right, but it was hard to shake the insecurity. It got worse when he met some of Alexandra's friends at a charity dinner she invited him to. Alexandra insisted on buying him a suit, which he was uncomfortable with but ultimately accepted because he did not own anything nice enough for the venue. At the dinner, Tyler felt completely out of place. Everyone was talking about stock portfolios and vacation homes and people he had never heard of. Alexandra stayed close to him all night, holding his hand and including him in conversations, but he could see the curious looks people were giving him. One man, a businessman named Richard, was particularly condescending. "So, Tyler, Alexandra tells me you are a mechanic. That must be interesting work." The way he said mechanic made it sound like Tyler cleaned sewers for a living. "It is," Tyler said evenly. "I enjoy it." "I am sure you do." Richard turned to Alexandra. "Remember when you were dating Marcus? He just made partner at his law firm. I saw him last week, actually. He asked about you." Alexandra's hand tightened on Tyler's. "That is nice. Tyler, should we go check on our auction bids?" As they walked away, Tyler said quietly, "Old boyfriend, from a long time ago. Richard is trying to stir up trouble. Do not let him get to you." But it did get to Tyler. That night, after the dinner, he was quiet as they drove back to his apartment. Alexandra had insisted on driving her car since the venue was across town. "Talk to me," Alexandra said as she pulled into his parking lot. "What is wrong?" "Nothing. I am fine." "Tyler," he sighed. I just do not belong in that world. Did you see how everyone looked at me? Like they were trying to figure out what you were doing with someone like me. I do not care what they think. But I do, Tyler said, his frustration bubbling over. Because at some point, you are going to realize you could have someone like Marcus, someone who fits into your life, someone who can actually match what you bring to the table. Alexandra turned in her seat to face him fully. Do you want to know why Marcus and I broke up? Because he was more interested in my last name and my bank account than in me. He wanted a trophy wife who would look good at his work events and not bother him the rest of the time. He did not want to actually build a life with me. He did not care what I cared about. When I told him I wanted to sell one of my father's hotels to fund the community center, he told me I was being foolish. He said charity work was fine as a hobby, but I should not waste my inheritance on it. Alexandra, I am not finished, she said firmly. You held a door open for a stranger in the snow. You carried my packages without knowing who I was. You work hard every day to provide for your daughter and to be there for her. You are teaching her to be kind and thoughtful and good. When I talk about my work, you understand why it matters. When I talk about my dreams, you listen and you add ideas instead of trying to diminish them. That is what I want. That is what I need. Not someone who looks good on paper but does not actually see me. Tyler felt his throat tighten. I am sorry. You are right. I have been in my head too much about all of this. I understand why, Alexandra said more gently. I know this is not easy. The money thing is complicated. But Tyler, I need you to believe that I am here because I want to be. Not because I feel sorry for you or because I am slumming it or whatever else you are worried about. I am falling in love with you and that terrifies me, but it is real. Tyler's heart stopped. You are falling in love with me. Yes, Alexandra said simply. I am. I am falling in love with you too, Tyler admitted. That is probably why I am being so stupid about all of this. I am scared. I am scared too, Alexandra said, but we should be scared together, not let fear drive us apart. Tyler reached across and pulled her into a kiss, trying to put all his feelings into it. When they broke apart, Alexandra was smiling. Come upstairs, Tyler said. Let me make you coffee and we can talk properly. They went up to his small apartment. It was neat but sparse, furnished with second-hand furniture and decorated with Emma's artwork on the walls. Alexandra kicked off her heels and curled up on his couch like she belonged there. They talked until 3 a.m, about everything. About Tyler's ex-wife, who had left because she did not want to be a mother anymore and had signed away her parental rights without a fight. About Alexandra's father, who had built a real estate empire from nothing but had died of a heart attack before he could enjoy his success. About their fears and hopes and the strange way they had found each other. I do not want you to change your life for me, Alexandra said as the sky started to lighten outside the window. But I want to be part of it. You, Emma, your mother, all of it. And I want you to be part of mine. I want that too, Tyler said. So we are doing this, really doing this? We are really doing this. The next few months were the happiest Tyler could remember. Alexandra became more integrated into his life and he into hers. She hired him to maintain the vehicles for her foundation, which Tyler initially resisted until Alexandra pointed out that he was the best mechanic she knew, and why should not she hire the best? The income helped tremendously, allowing Tyler to build up some savings for the first time in years. Emma was thriving too. She adored Alexandra, and the feeling was clearly mutual. Alexandra started picking her up from school once a week, taking her to the park or the library or for ice cream. Tyler loved coming home to find them sitting together on the couch, Emma chattering away while Alexandra listened with genuine interest. One evening in June, about 7 months after they had first met, Tyler was putting Emma to bed when she asked, "Is Alexandra your girlfriend?" "She is," Tyler said. "Is that okay with you?" Emma nodded seriously. "I like her a lot. She is nice to me and she makes you smile more." "She makes me very happy," Tyler agreed. "Do you think she will stay, or will she leave like Mommy did?" Tyler's heart broke a little. Emma rarely talked about her mother anymore, but he knew the abandonment had affected her deeply. "Alexandra is not going to leave," he said firmly. "She cares about us very much. How do you know?" "Because she shows up, baby girl. Every time we need her, every time we ask her to be there, she is. That is how you know someone cares. They show up." Emma seemed satisfied with this answer. "I hope she stays forever." "Me too," Tyler whispered, kissing her forehead. In July, Alexandra invited Tyler and Emma to spend a weekend at her house by the lake. Tyler had never been to her home before. They had always met at his apartment or out somewhere. He knew she had a house, but he was not prepared for the reality of it. The house was beautiful, a modern design with huge windows overlooking the lake. It was elegant but not ostentatious, decorated with comfortable furniture and warm colors. There was a dock and a small boat, and Emma immediately fell in love with everything. "This is where you live?" Tyler asked, standing on the deck looking out at the water. "This is where I sleep," Alexandra corrected, "but it has not felt like home. It is too big for just me, too quiet." "It is beautiful, though." "It could be," Alexandra said. "With the right people in it, that weekend was perfect." They swam in the lake, grilled dinner on the deck, and watched movies in Alexandra's home theater. Emma fell asleep between them on the huge sectional couch, and Tyler carefully carried her to the guest room Alexandra had prepared. When he came back, Alexandra had opened a bottle of wine and was sitting on the deck. Tyler joined her, and they sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the moon reflect on the water. "I have been thinking," Alexandra said eventually. "And I want to talk to you about something, but I do not want you to freak out." Tyler's stomach tensed. "Okay. I want us to move in together," Alexandra said. "You and Emma, here." Tyler stared at her. "Alexandra, I know it is a big step," she continued quickly. "And I know you are going to have a million reasons why it is a bad idea. But hear me out. You are paying rent on an apartment that is barely big enough for you and Emma. She needs her own room, and that second bedroom you are using as a storage closet does not count. Here, she could have her own room, a yard to play in, the lake. There is a great school district, and you would not have to pay rent or utilities. You could save money, build up a real nest egg." "I cannot let you just support us," Tyler said. "It is not like that," Alexandra argued. "This is my house. I am paying for it whether you are here or not. You being here would not cost me anything extra, but it would give Emma a better life." "How is that wrong? What would people think?" "Since when do you care what people think?" Alexandra challenged. "Tyler, I love you. I love Emma. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to have breakfast together as a family. I want to be there when Emma has nightmares or when you have had a long day. I want us to build a life together, and that means sharing a home. The fact that my home happens to be nicer than most is just a bonus." Tyler was quiet for a long time, processing. Everything she said made sense, but it felt like such a huge step. "Can I think about it?" "Of course," Alexandra said. "Take all the time you need. I am not going anywhere." Tyler talked to his mother about it the next day, after they had driven back to the city. Mary listened carefully and then said, "You know what I think you should do?" "What?" asked Emma. "She is part of this decision too." So that evening, Tyler sat down with his daughter in their small apartment. "Emma, how would you feel about moving to Alexandra's house? She invited us to come live with her." Emma's face lit up. "Really? We could live at the lake house. We could. Would you like that?" "Yes." "I could have my own room, and we could go swimming all the time, and Alexandra would be there every day." Emma paused. "Would that make her like my mom?" Tyler chose his words carefully. "It would make her someone very important in our family, someone who loves you very much." "You already have a mom, even if she is not around. Alexandra would be something different, something special." "I want to go," Emma said decisively. "Please, Daddy, can we?" Looking at his daughter's hopeful face, Tyler made his decision. They would do this. He would take this leap of faith with Alexandra, not because it was the easy choice or the financially smart choice, but because it was what his heart wanted. He texted Alexandra that night. "We would love to move in with you. When can we start packing?" Her response was immediate. Really? You are serious? I am serious. I love you and I want to build a life with you. Let us do this. I love you so much. How about next weekend? I will help you pack everything. The move happened quickly. Alexandra rented a truck and showed up with several friends from the foundation to help. Tyler was embarrassed by how little they actually had to move, how most of it was Emma's toys and their clothes, and a few pieces of furniture that Alexandra insisted on bringing because they had sentimental value. The first night in the lake house, Tyler tucked Emma into her new bedroom. It was 3 times the size of her old room, with big windows overlooking the water and a reading nook that Emma had immediately claimed as her favorite spot. "This is the best house ever," Emma said sleepily. "I am glad you like it, sweetheart." "Daddy, are we rich now?" Tyler smiled. "No, baby girl, we are not rich, but we are very, very lucky." He found Alexandra in the kitchen, cleaning up from dinner. Tyler wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For this. For Emma. For not giving up on me when I was being stubborn and stupid about the money stuff." Alexandra turned in his arms. "Thank you for taking a chance on this. I know it was not easy." "It was easier than you think," Tyler said, "because I love you and because you are right. This is about building a life together, not about who has more money." "I am glad you see that now." They kissed, a slow, deep kiss that held all the promise of their future together. When they pulled apart, Tyler said, "I should probably tell you something, though." "What?" "I am planning to marry you someday, just so you know, so you should prepare yourself for that." Alexandra laughed, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Is that a proposal?" "No," Tyler said. "When I propose, it will be much better than this. That is a warning or maybe a promise." "I will be waiting," Alexandra said, kissing him again. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Tyler continued working at the auto shop, though he was able to negotiate better hours now that he did not have to worry about every overtime shift. Alexandra continued her work with the foundation, and she started involving Tyler more in the projects. He had good instincts for what communities needed. Having grown up in one of the neighborhoods, she was trying to help. Emma thrived. She made friends at her new school, learned to swim in the lake, and blossomed under the attention of 2 adults who adored her. Tyler watched his daughter become more confident, more open, more willing to trust that good things could last. It was not always perfect. There were still moments when Tyler felt insecure about the situation, when well-meaning people would make comments about Alexandra supporting him, or when he would see the price tag on something and realize it cost more than he used to make in a month. But Alexandra was patient with him, and they talked through every concern. 6 months after they moved in together, Tyler started planning his proposal. He knew it had to be meaningful, something that acknowledged their journey together. He went to his mother for advice. "Propose to her where you met," Mary suggested. "Outside that department store where you held the door. It is where your story started." It was perfect. Tyler spent weeks planning every detail. He arranged with the store management to set up a small surprise outside the entrance on a snowy December evening, exactly 1 year after they had first met. He got Emma in on the plan, too, having her make a special card for Alexandra. On the evening of the anniversary, Tyler told Alexandra they were going Christmas shopping downtown, just like they had been planning to do that first day before he helped her with the packages. Alexandra did not suspect anything, happily chatting about what presents they still needed to buy as they drove into the city. When they pulled up outside the department store, Tyler could see the surprise he had arranged. There were lights strung around the entrance, and a small crowd of people who were in on the secret, including his mother, Margaret from the foundation, and several of Alexandra's friends. "What is going on?" Alexandra asked as Tyler helped Emma out of the car. "Come here," Tyler said, taking her hand and leading her to the front entrance. Snow was starting to fall, just like it had a year ago. Tyler turned to face her, holding both her hands. "A year ago today, I was standing right here with Emma, getting ready to do some shopping." And then I saw this woman struggling with a tower of presents. She was clearly in over her head, and I thought I should help her. So I opened the door. It was such a small thing, such a simple gesture, but it changed my entire life. Alexandra's eyes were already filling with tears. You could have been anyone, Tyler continued. Just another person passing through my day, but you were not. You were kind and real and beautiful, and you saw something in me that I did not even see in myself. You made me believe that I was worthy of being loved, that I could be enough just as I was. You loved my daughter like she was your own. You made us a family. Emma tugged on his jacket, and Tyler picked her up, holding her on his hip. We have something to ask you, he said. Together, he and Emma said, will you marry us? Tyler set Emma down and got down on one knee, pulling out the ring he had spent 3 months saving for. It was not the biggest diamond, but it was beautiful, and it was bought with money he had earned honestly, money that represented his commitment to building a life with her. Alexandra Brooks, will you marry me? Alexandra was crying openly now, nodding before she could even get words out. Yes, she finally managed. Yes, of course I will marry you. Tyler stood up and slid the ring onto her finger, and then they were kissing while everyone around them cheered. Emma was jumping up and down, clapping her hands, and Mary was crying happy tears. How did you plan all this? Alexandra asked when she could finally speak again. I had help, Tyler admitted, gesturing to the crowd. Everyone wanted to be part of it. This is the most perfect proposal I could have imagined, Alexandra said. Thank you for making it so meaningful. They celebrated that night with everyone at a nearby restaurant, and it felt right to Tyler that the people there were a mix from both their worlds. His co-workers from the auto shop sitting next to board members from Alexandra's foundation, his mother laughing with Alexandra's friends, Emma at the center of it, all being fussed over by everyone. This is what I always wanted, Alexandra whispered to him at one point during the dinner. A real family, people who care about each other, not about status or money or anything else, just real love. You have it, Tyler assured her. You have us, and we are not going anywhere. They got married 4 months later in a ceremony by the lake. It was small and intimate, just close family and friends. Emma was the flower girl, wearing a white dress that she had picked out herself and insisted on showing to everyone. Tyler's mother walked him down the aisle, and when he saw Alexandra waiting for him at the end, beautiful in a simple white gown with flowers in her hair, he felt his eyes sting with tears. The ceremony was perfect. They had written their own vows, and Tyler managed to get through his without breaking down, though it was close. Alexandra, you saved me, he said, holding her hands and looking into her eyes. I did not know how lost I was until I found you. You showed me what love looks like, what partnership means. You gave my daughter a mother in every way that matters. You gave me a reason to believe in happy endings. I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of your love. I promise to be your partner in every adventure, your comfort in every storm, and your biggest supporter in every dream. I promise to love you with everything I have, exactly as you are, for all the days of my life. By the end, there was not a dry eye in the crowd. When they were pronounced husband and wife, and he kissed her, Tyler felt like everything in his life had led to this moment. All the struggles, all the hardships, all the times he had wondered if things would ever get better, it had all been worth it to end up here, with this woman, building this life. The reception was full of joy and laughter. They danced under string lights as the sun set over the lake. Emma danced with them, standing on Tyler's feet like she used to do when she was smaller. When the photographer captured that moment, all three of them together, it became Tyler's favorite picture. Later that night, after Emma was asleep and the guests had gone home, Tyler and Alexandra sat on their dock looking at the stars. Mrs. Thompson, Tyler said, testing out the name. I like the sound of that, Alexandra said, leaning against him, though I might keep Brooks professionally. I have built a lot with that name. That makes sense. You should keep what is important to you. You are what is important to me, Alexandra said. You and Emma, everything else is just details. I never thought I could be this happy, Tyler admitted. A year and a half ago, I was just trying to get through each day, trying to be enough for Emma, trying not to think too hard about how lonely I was. And now I have all of this. I have you. I am the lucky one, Alexandra insisted. You gave me a family, you gave me a home that feels like a home. You gave me purpose beyond my work. We gave it to each other, Tyler said. That is what partnership means, right? Building something together that neither of us could have built alone. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the water lap against the dock. I want to have a baby, Alexandra said suddenly. With you, I know Emma is still young and we are newly married, but I want to give her a sibling. I want to experience pregnancy and all of it with you. Is that something you would want? Tyler turned to look at her, his heart full. I would love that. I would love to have a baby with you. Really, really. Emma would be so excited to be a big sister, and I would love to do the whole thing from the beginning with someone I actually love, someone who wants to be there. Alexandra kissed him softly. Let us not rush it. But soon, Tyler agreed. It took 6 months for Alexandra to get pregnant. When she took the test and it came back positive, she surprised Tyler at the auto shop with the news, unable to wait until he got home. Really? Tyler asked, looking at the test she handed him. We are having a baby. We are having a baby, Alexandra confirmed, and then she was in his arms, both of them laughing and crying at the same time. Telling Emma was the best part. They sat her down that evening and explained that she was going to be a big sister. Really? A real baby? Emma asked, her eyes wide. A real baby, Tyler confirmed. What do you think about that? Emma thought for a moment, then nodded seriously. I think I will be a good big sister. I will teach the baby everything I know. I am sure you will, Alexandra said, pulling Emma into a hug. The pregnancy was relatively easy. Alexandra had some morning sickness in the first trimester, but Tyler was there every morning, holding her hair back and bringing her crackers and ginger ale. He went to every doctor's appointment, holding her hand during the ultrasounds and crying when they found out they were having a boy. A son, he said in wonder, looking at the screen. And Emma gets a little brother, Alexandra added. Is that okay with you, Emma? Emma, who had insisted on coming to the appointment, nodded enthusiastically. I want to name him. We will definitely consider your suggestions, Tyler said diplomatically. Emma's suggestion was to name the baby dinosaur, which they gently declined. They eventually settled on the name Thomas, after Tyler's grandfather. Throughout the pregnancy, Tyler marveled at how natural this all felt. He and Alexandra worked together to set up the nursery, painted it a soft blue with clouds on the ceiling. Emma helped pick out decorations, and Mary knitted blankets and little outfits. When Alexandra's water broke on a sunny morning in September, Tyler stayed calm, getting her to the hospital and keeping Emma entertained while they waited for Mary to come pick her up. The labor was long, almost 16 hours, but Tyler never left Alexandra's side. You are doing amazing, he kept telling her, letting her squeeze his hand as hard as she needed during contractions. This was your idea, she panted between contractions, but she was smiling. When Thomas Tyler Thompson finally arrived, screaming and red-faced and perfect, Tyler cut the umbilical cord with shaking hands. Alexandra held their son for the first time, and Tyler wrapped his arms around both of them, his family. He is beautiful, Alexandra whispered. He looks like you, Tyler said. He has your nose. Poor kid. They both laughed, giddy with exhaustion and joy. Emma came to visit later that day and was immediately smitten with her baby brother. She held him carefully with Tyler's help and whispered, Hi, Thomas, I am your big sister. I am going to take care of you. The first few months with a newborn were exhausting but wonderful. Tyler took paternity leave from the shop, and they worked as a team, trading off night feedings and diaper changes. Alexandra was amazing with Thomas, but Tyler could tell she was struggling sometimes with the isolation of being home with a baby all day. "Why do not you go back to the foundation part-time?" he suggested when Thomas was 3 months old. "I can watch him a few days a week, and we can hire someone to help the other days. You love your work, and it is important. You should not have to give it up." "But I do not want to miss anything," Alexandra said. "You will not. We will make it work." And honestly, I would love to spend more time with Thomas too. I missed so much of Emma's baby days because I had to work so much. This would give me a chance to really be present. So they worked out a schedule. Alexandra went back to the foundation 3 days a week. Tyler cut back his hours at the shop to 3 days, and they hired a wonderful nanny named Sarah for the 1 day a week when they both needed to work. Life settled into a new rhythm, busier and more chaotic, but full of love. Emma started 3rd grade and was doing well, making friends and bringing home projects she was proud of. Thomas grew, hitting all his milestones, his personality emerging. He was a happy baby, quick to smile and easier than Emma had been at that age. One evening, when Thomas was about a year old, Tyler was giving him a bath while Alexandra helped Emma with her homework. He looked at his son, splashing happily in the tub, and felt overwhelming gratitude for how his life had turned out. "You are so lucky, buddy," Tyler said, running a washcloth over Thomas's chubby arms. "You have a mom who loves you so much, and a big sister who thinks you are the greatest thing ever, and a grandma who spoils you rotten. You are going to grow up knowing you are loved every single day of your life." Thomas responded by splashing water directly into Tyler's face, which made them both laugh. After the kids were in bed that night, Tyler found Alexandra on the deck, wrapped in a blanket and looking at the stars like they had on their wedding night. "I love you," Tyler said, sitting down next to her and pulling her close. "I love you too," Alexandra said. "Do you ever think about how easily we could have missed each other? If it had not been snowing that day, if I had not been carrying those presents, if you had been a minute earlier or later." "But we did not miss each other," Tyler said. "We found each other exactly when we were supposed to. I held a door open, and you gave me a life I never dreamed I could have." "We gave each other that life," Alexandra corrected. "That is what I love most about us. We both brought something important to this relationship. It was never about your money or my money or who needed saving. It was about 2 people who saw each other clearly and chose each other anyway." "Best choice I ever made," Tyler said, kissing her temple. "Second best," Alexandra corrected. "The best was getting out of your car and coming to that community center Christmas party," Tyler laughed. "Fair point." They sat together in comfortable silence, and Tyler thought about the journey that had brought them here. He thought about the man he had been 2 years ago, struggling to make ends meet, exhausted from working long hours, lonely even though he had Emma. He thought about standing in the snow, making the simple decision to hold a door open for a stranger. Such a small act, such a simple kindness, but it had changed everything. "What are you thinking about?" Alexandra asked. "Just how lucky I am," Tyler said. "How lucky we are. Emma is thriving, Thomas is healthy and happy, we have this beautiful life together. Sometimes I worry that I am going to wake up and it will all have been a dream." "It is real," Alexandra assured him, "and it is not going anywhere. We built this together, and we will keep building it day by day for the rest of our lives. Promise. Promise." 5 years later, Tyler stood in the same spot outside the department store where he had first met Alexandra. The city had installed a permanent light display for the holidays, and the entrance looked magical with snow falling gently around it. Emma was 12 now, tall and starting to look more like a teenager than a little girl. She stood next to him, holding 5-year-old Thomas's hand. Alexandra was on Tyler's other side, holding their 3-month-old daughter, Lily. "Why did we have to come here?" Emma asked, though she was smiling. She knew the story of how her father and stepmother had met by heart. "Because this is where our family started," Tyler explained, the same way he did every year on this date. "This is where I met Alexandra. You held the door for her," Thomas piped up, "because she had too many presents." "That is right, buddy," Alexandra said, bouncing Lily gently. Your daddy was very kind to a stranger, and that changed both our lives. I am glad he held the door, Emma said. Otherwise, you would not be my mom. Alexandra's eyes got misty. Emma had started calling her mom about a year after the wedding, and it never failed to affect her. I am glad too, sweetheart. They took their annual photo in front of the department store, the five of them crowded together, smiling at the camera. When Tyler looked at that photo later, he would think about how much love was captured in a single frame. His wife, beautiful and successful and kind. Emma, growing up confident and secure. Thomas, full of energy and joy. Lily, tiny and perfect and just beginning her life. That night, after the kids were asleep, Tyler and Alexandra made love slowly and tenderly, still finding new ways to connect after all these years together. Afterward, Alexandra curled into his side, her head on his chest. "What are you thinking?" she asked, a question that had become ritual between them. "I am thinking about that man 7 years ago, standing in the snow with his daughter, trying to figure out how to buy his mother a Christmas present on a tight budget. I am thinking about how he had no idea that his life was about to completely transform. That opening a door would lead to love and family and more happiness than he knew existed. Do you think he would believe it if you could tell him?" Alexandra asked. "No," Tyler said honestly. "I think he would think it was too good to be true, that women like you do not end up with men like him. But he would be wrong, because you saw something in him worth loving. You saw past the worn-out jacket and the second-hand furniture and saw the man underneath, and you loved him anyway." "I loved him because of who he was, not despite it," Alexandra corrected. "His kindness, his dedication to his daughter, his integrity, those things do not have anything to do with money. Those are the things that matter." "I know that now," Tyler said. "It took me a while, but I finally understand that what we have is real. That I do not need to be wealthy to be worthy of you, that we are partners in every sense of the word." "We are," Alexandra agreed, "and we always will be." Tyler kissed the top of her head. "I love you, Alexandra Thompson. Thank you for walking into my life in that snowstorm. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for holding the door," Alexandra whispered. "Thank you for being exactly who you are. Thank you for building this beautiful life with me." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, secure in the love they had built together. Outside, snow continued to fall on the city, just like it had on the day they met. But inside the house by the lake, everything was warm and safe and full of the kind of love that lasts forever. The next morning, Tyler woke to the sound of his children laughing downstairs. He could hear Emma helping Thomas pour cereal, could hear Lily starting to fuss in her crib. Alexandra stirred beside him, and he kissed her shoulder before getting up. "I will get Lily," he said. "You sleep a little more." He picked up his daughter, changed her diaper, and brought her downstairs where his older kids were having breakfast. Emma had gotten Thomas settled at the table and was now eating her own cereal while scrolling through her phone. "Morning, Dad," she said, looking up. "Morning, sweetheart." "Morning, Thomas." "Morning, Daddy," Thomas said cheerfully, milk dripping down his chin. Tyler settled into a chair with Lily, feeding her a bottle while watching his older children. This was his life now. These quiet morning moments, this easy domesticity, this sense of belonging. He had a family that loved him, a wife who was his partner in every way, and children who would grow up knowing they were cherished. Alexandra came downstairs a little while later, her hair still messy from sleep, wearing one of Tyler's old shirts. She kissed each of the kids and then kissed Tyler before pouring herself coffee. "What are we doing today?" Emma asked. "I thought we could go for a walk by the lake," Alexandra suggested. "It is supposed to be beautiful out." "Can we feed the ducks?" Thomas asked excitedly. "We can feed the ducks," Tyler confirmed. It was a simple plan for a simple day, but that was what Tyler loved most about his life now. The everyday moments, the ordinary joys, the knowledge that every day he got to wake up next to the woman he loved and watch his children grow. As they got ready for their walk, bundling Thomas into his coat and getting the stroller ready for Lily, Tyler caught Alexandra's eye and smiled. She smiled back, that same warm smile that had captivated him in a snowstorm 7 years ago. They had built something real together, something lasting. It had not been easy, and there had been challenges along the way, but they had faced everything together. The money differences that had once seemed so insurmountable now barely mattered. They had found a way to blend their lives, to respect each other's contributions, to build something that was wholly theirs. Tyler held the door as his family trooped outside into the sunshine. It was just a door, just a simple gesture, but it reminded him of where they had started. He had held a door for a stranger in the snow, and she had become his wife, his partner, his love. She had given him a family, a home, a life fuller than he had ever imagined possible. And he had given her something too. A real partner who saw her for who she was beyond the money and the success. Someone who loved her unconditionally, who supported her dreams, who built a life with her based on mutual respect and genuine affection. As they walked together along the lake, Emma pushing Thomas on his bike while Tyler pushed the stroller and Alexandra walked beside him holding his free hand, Tyler thought about all the people who had doubted their relationship in the beginning. The ones who had assumed Alexandra was slumming it or that Tyler was after her money. None of those people could see what Tyler and Alexandra knew in their hearts, that love was not about bank accounts or social status. It was about two people choosing each other every single day, through challenges and triumphs, through ordinary moments and extraordinary ones. "What are you smiling about?" Alexandra asked. "Just thinking about how much I love my life," Tyler said. "How much I love you. How grateful I am for that snowstorm 7 years ago." "Me too," Alexandra said, squeezing his hand. "Best day of my life meeting you." "Second best," Tyler corrected with a grin. "Our wedding day was the best." "Fair point," Alexandra conceded. "Okay, third best." "The days our children were born top everything." "Now we are talking." They continued their walk, their children's laughter floating back to them on the breeze, the sun warm on their faces, the future stretching out before them full of promise and possibility. Tyler Thompson had held a door for a stranger in the snow, and in return, he had received everything he had ever wanted and so much more. It was not a fairy tale. It was better than that. It was real.